Welcome, everyone, to the July 1st episode of Wizards of the Couch. Thanks for joining me tonight. Danny Grimes and the three fellow couch wizards here on the screen with me, Casey Rift, Brian Berg, and Jimmy Duffy. And we're just sitting around the virtual couch discussing everything to do with tabletop role-playing games, having a couple drinks, and trying to share in some good discussion. So, just a warning to everyone, it is an adult show. We do drop an occasional adult word. We just try not to string them together endlessly. So, and we're also having drinks tonight. I've got rum and pineapple. That's my drink of the evening. I'm Danny Grimes. I'm a professional GM at Gen Con. I run a lot of Call of Cthulhu rounds. I do a lot of designing of terrain and other stuff like that. And I'll just let everybody else introduce themselves. Matt, why don't you go?
Hi, I'm Matt, probably better known as Casey Rift. I own Cobalt Con in Colorado Springs, and we're starting up this thing called Blackwood Society, which is organized play for all your non-famous RPGs. So all the D&Ds of, Adventure League and Pathfinder Society. It's a comparative program.
There we go.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking, Matt?
All right, so we're drinking Chimay. It's a Belgian Grand Reserve Ale, Belgian ale tonight.
Great. Okay, Brian.
Yes, so I'm Brian Berg. I'm the director of Total Party Kill Games, and I work with all these yahoos as well on the Wizards of the Couch and a couple of other projects. Yeah. Hey, and it looks like Lou has joined us.
Yeah, Lou has here.
Hey.
I'm getting everything put together. Oh,
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Lou.
Can.
All right. Unfortunately, Rone lost his voice.
Unfortunately?
Are we being recorded yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
All right.
Good. Well, hey, Lou, we're just running around the top of the key right now. No better time, I guess, to introduce you, and then we'll get to Jimmy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lou, and what got you into gaming, why you're here.
Oh my gosh. What didn't get me into gaming? My name's Lou Agresta. I'm co-creator of Grimmer Space, co-host of the Iron GM show. And long time ago, I was known a little bit in the industry for saving a project called Razor Coast, or helping to save a project called Razor Coast.
Nice.
I've been writing for tabletop role-playing since 2004. And the last time I did the math, I think I clocked over 1 million words written, edited, developed, what have you.
Wow, the Mount Everest.
Wow.
That is
The Everest.
amazing.
You and Greenwood, you and Ed Greenwood should square off.
Ed Greenwood and I played True Dungeon together once.
Oh my, is that right?
It was Ed, Rone, myself, Monty Cook. I forget who else was there. They all just stormed ahead. I hung back. He's really tall. Let him get killed.
It is.
Yeah. He blocks a lot of incoming missile weapons.
Right.
And so, hey, last on the list, real quick before we move on, Jimmy.
Hi. Yep, I'm Jimmy Duffy. Where's your banners? Come on, put them up there, Brian.
Yeah.
So I run Praetor's Rejects on Twitch, and also the tech runner here and handling of the videos for our Wizards of the Couch show. Bringing games to the channel also here. A few announcements to do after we have Lou on, and some planning from there. So welcome everybody to the show.
So just to dive back into Ed Greenwood, for those of you who've perhaps never met Ed Greenwood, he is a very, very tall individual. And up until recently, when he cut his hair, he looked exactly like Elminster. He and Elminster were the exact same person. So it's just, he's always a spectacle.
and I can attest to the fact that he is as nice as he is tall. He's nicer than he is tall.
Agreed.
Really tall.
Agreed.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't quick get. What are you drinking, Bri?
Well, I was recently in Milwaukee, so I'm drinking some Kettle Logic Amber Ale.
Excellent choice. I live in Milwaukee, so I fully approve.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you, Jimmy? I'm guessing I know the answer.
Shiner.
Shiner, yeah. And Lou, as the we'll give you last raps here. As the what do you got in front of you there for a beverage?
What
Oh,
flavor?
well played. That is such a G. Okay, we're talking about Game Mastering 101 tonight. That is a GM move right there. What are you drinking? Different phase state of liquid. Yeah, well played.
It was bourbon, particularly a New York County distillery peated bourbon.
Mhm.
Is one of my favorites, but tonight I have my daughter is sick, and I don't know if she's going to come out going, "Daddy," and it's probably better not to be drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, there are plenty of times when it's better not to be drunk. I keep a list on my fridge before I leave the house.
As a reminder, huh?
Yeah. So you just mentioned New York. So you are out of New York.
That is correct. I lived in Brooklyn and Manhattan for like 14 years, and then in 2005 I moved further upstate. So now I'm in the Hudson Valley.
Oh, right on. Well, I guess, just to kind of kick things off tonight, we are going to be talking about Game Mastering 101. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. There's a lot of cool new stuff coming out in the run up to Gen Con. We're going to talk a little bit about Lou, the cool shit that Lou is doing, which I can't even grasp all the stuff that is encompassed in Grimmer Space. So I'm going to need you to explain it, because I think it's super cool. And also I want to touch a little bit on our Iron GM as well before we fully jump into just like GM 101. So just before we get started, I'll say that, a lot of the way we develop these topics and come up with these subjects and even figure out who we'd like to have on the show, we're out on forums and we're watching people wrestle with stuff that some of it, when I see it, I think, wow, that's pretty basic. You can find it anywhere. You can use Google. And some of it's pretty subtle stuff, dealing with player types, dealing with the kinds of games you want to run, how to gather players, a lot of things like that. And those are more advanced topics for sure. And I'm hoping we can dig into some of those as we go. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Dealing with Jimmy.
That's
Jimmy.
always.
Jimmy, if I would have been introducing Jimmy tonight, it says here that he's the IT mastermind. The IT mastermind. And so far, I'd have to say he's doing a pretty good job.
Thank you.
He's doing a pretty good job. So anyway.
I'll pay him later.
You have those applause, so this is where he would play his applause.
Yeah.
for
This is,
himself.
if it was live, this is where we'd be pretending. Yeah. We should not talk such shit because Jimmy might have more fans than any of us. So,
and he can pull the
That's actually probably very true.
Yeah. So
Watch
so
the
he
man
just
disappear.
Mysteriously disappeared. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. So why don't we start with we've all told our audience many times like what our backgrounds are, and I don't think any of them was really crazy or strange. I think what a lot of people come to, they start playing in high school, maybe in college, this kind of stuff. But I'm interested to hear your kind of origin story, Lou, is to like, what was that moment when you realized, I'm a gamer and I'm surrounded by gamers? I didn't mean to make that sound horrible. I'm a gamer. I'm surrounded by gamers.
Oh my god! So I started Holmes Basic D&D. This kid in my town named Mike Robbins told me there was this game where you got to be an elf warrior, or an elf wizard.
Oh,
And I'm like, I can what? I can cast spells? Okay, count me in. My dad used to read us Lord of the Rings as a bedtime story, and we stopped him at the Silmarillion, So I grew up on this meat and potatoes, right? And Holmes Basic, I got a grasp of the game. I'm like, oh, keep on the Borderlands. All right, I get this now. And I went to all my circle of friends, and I was the poison in their well. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna play this game. I think the night I knew I had succeeded was when we had a sleepover at my kindergarten buddy. We've been friends since kindergarten. This guy, Jack Mix. There's a sleepover in his basement where like early teens had discovered a bottle of Southern Comfort
Ooh.
Not do this at home.
Only one part of that name is correct.
Southern.
And we were all playing, and I was reffing, and one by one, they all fell asleep, except for this one kid named Paul Yeager, which is great because Jägermeister, but that came much later. Paul, we can't tell if he's awake or asleep, and he's the wizard in the group. And after a while, the only thing he does is startle awake and go, shatter. So we're all playing, and we're like, Paul, roll. Shatter. By the third or fourth time, that became, to this day, I can call Jack 40, 50 years later and be like, shatter.
No, that's great.
So was one of the things that kind of distinguished each of us when we were talking about this was like the role of the player or the GM. Like, were you a more natural GM or a more natural player? How did you swap it out?
I just always went right to GM. That was always after I played my first game or two, I was so busy trying to get other people to play that's what I always did. I got my
those two things do go hand in hand, gathering the players and running the game.
I got my extended family to play. My dad will still talk about his 5th level chaotic good fighter.
That's great.
Wow, that's bonus. That's extra gamer cred when you can draw your actual family in.
Only for one game.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. That's fine. The fact that you can achieve it at all counts for a lot. So it sounds like your formative deal was pretty much like the rest of us. It was just kindred spirits suddenly given a game where it wasn't just a chit or a piece or cards,
yes.
But it was like a fully fleshed thing, you know. Mm-hmm. Was role playing a big part of that, or was it just like, this is stats and we can do all this cool shit?
Oh no, a lot of it was role playing. I think it was being transported into the fantasy scene, into the fantasy world, into the fantasy scenario. Playing, all my friends were into. We all grew up in the Rankin Bass Bilbo Hobbit movie. We all grew up,
Oh, God. The cartoon.
Down to Goblin Town, right?
Ho, ho, my lad.
I love that thing back at the time, though. Looking at it now, you're like, why? But
I saw it again. I saw it again with my kids. It was awesome. I still love it. I won't lie. I still love it.
I love it.
I do too. I like the art. I wasn't so sure on the musical choices, but the art was crazy.
Agreed.
You remember the songs, right? So you remember
yeah.
It won.
That's true. That's true.
So getting them all to what the heck was the question?
just
he fits right in. He fits right in with the group.
Awesome. Yeah. We can move on from whatever that question was, but where it was headed was this. I want you to tell us a little bit about, I only learned about this last year through a mutual friend that we all have, Eric. House Iron GM.
He's like,
so is the natural like desire to be a GM? Does that lead over the years?
Oh, actually, I also ran a tournament at the Massapequa Public Library when I was a kid that had excuse me, I'm having ice pop problems.
No comment.
Difficult dipping it in the bourbon, isn't it?
I know, right?
Trying to hit that bourbon glass with
it melts remarkably fast when you dip it in alcohol.
Or when it's made of vodka. No, as a teenager, I talked my public library into hosting a tournament, and it was called PequaCon. And
of course.
I photocopied the cover of the red dragon on the cover, and nice. I made a pamphlet and the whole thing. And this is the 80s, so this is early 80s, so this is kind of the height of the. Is it early 80s? Mid 80s. So it's the height of first edition D&D. We must have had 150, 200 people there.
Wow.
It was huge.
I've been to cons recently with less.
Right.
Hey, we agreed not to talk about Kobold Con.
I was gonna. Oh, he stole it from me. He stole it from me.